Welcome colonists, my name is Patrick aka Eviltrick and I'm back again ready to tell you a little bit about more stuff of 1.0 in Rimworlds. So, adjustments. Adjustments is not as glorious as new features, but it's almost on par with those new features, because it might not be new models and everything, but the entire cornerstone of Rimworlds, or the data behind it, that's what's getting changed in adjustments. And oh boy, has there been a lot of adjustments in 1.0. This colony right here is part of our Nude and Loot colony, Naked Brutality, No Pause, Extreme Cassandra on Twitch, so if you want to check that out, go click the link below. But we're gonna go through adjustments here today. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and I will not talk about trading and caravanning, because I'll leave that for a video by itself. There's so much there, so it doesn't make sense to talk about it now. You just keep it short. So, things have been improved and removed. First of all, improved. Improved pathfinding. Colonists should now generate better paths. That, I still have to see that, but apparently they should, so that's good. Improved Sapper AI somewhat. So the Sappers are now more intelligent when attacking. Some of them are kind of kamikazing the walls. That's a bug. But they are smarter. They attack from multiple directions, and Sapper raids never pull back. This might be something that's getting changed soon. But for now, if you see a Sapper raid, they will never flee like they usually do. Third, improved animal fleeing behavior. It's kind of weird. I have multiple times hunted a Thrombro and it only fled. It never attacked. Normally, some animals would always attack at some point, which it still will, but it takes a lot more. And if you're at a specific range, at max range with the short bow, then shooting a bear or mega sloth, I still have to see them going mad. But if you're really close and shoot, they will almost always go mad. So keep that in mind. Improved following behavior, so animals following their master will now try to stay close to him. Tynan, the developer, is trying to get all this animal thing to be way more of a thing in the game. Just to make it more usable, more viable, wildness and all that has been changed as well. So you gotta keep your animals trained to keep them in the colony. And that brings us on to the next part. Animals. Animals' melee damage now scales with life stages. I still have to test if the normal damage of a dog in its adult stage is actually more than it used to be. I don't think so, but as a popper, this little guy does a little bit less damage, which makes sense. Pets and bonded animals no longer disturb sleep. That's just great, because it's really annoying being waken up all the time and having that debuff. Projectile impacts now wake up nearby people and animals. That is huge in certain scenarios, especially when you are hunting at night, so animals are not sleeping on the ground forever and they're impossible to hit, so that's good. Animals now respond quicker to their masters drafting and undrafting, and they also react quicker to zone-specific things. When you set them to restrictions, they almost react immediately and start to go there. You can see they just come fleeing here instantly, which is so nice when you're getting attacked and you want to protect your certain animals, chickens, or whatever you guys want to protect. It's pretty nice though. It's really nice. Fixed an issue with animals sometimes randomly opening doors in combat and allowing enemies in. Yeah, thanks Tynan. That's good. Instead of shooting them, hunters now execute downed creatures with the neck cut. Except for explosive creatures. So that's also really nice, and that's kind of all there is to animals at this point. More things are going to be added. Tynan is still going to rebalance some things, and that's either going to be a hotfix through this patch or for next patch. But I'm pretty sure Tynan is looking at that to make pets more viable in combat and just more usable in general. So for things that's gotten removed in 1.0, tornadoes have been removed. I know there's a tornado generator, but tornado, like the accident, the incident, can no longer happen. You can still spawn it if you really feel like it. You can still spawn it in this tab here. If you don't know what this is a dev tool, and you can access it in the menus. And of course you can use it to cheat stuff in if you want to. I use it for speed 4. You can access it at speed 4 with dev mode on, which is really nice if you didn't know. And you can also test things out. Then scyther blades have been removed, and that's part of the new mechanoids, because mechanoids don't drop anything anymore. They just don't. And so scyther blades is not a thing anymore. Green thumb trait has been removed for some reason. I don't know why. Electric armor has been removed. That is part of the overall armor, and electric armor that has been removed because there was nothing doing electrical damage, so it makes sense. Shiv has been removed since it was just a low quality knife. The shoddy and superior qualities have been removed from items, so that's kind of interesting. And the distinction between allowed areas and animal areas are now just obsolete. They are the same, so there's no animal area tab or people area tab. It's all just areas, and yeah, that's a little bit easier to distinguish between, so you don't have to make 2 Fallout zones but just 1. The requirement to pay fee to initiate the item stash quest has been removed as well. So you know those small weird amounts of 20, 30, 110 silver you sometimes had to pay for that? It's no more. Also, the events happen earlier in the game, so it can happen already at day 6 and not at day 15, which is quite a bit earlier, meaning that missions is something you're going to get a lot more. Like, look at all this. And they also stay for 50% longer, so you have more time to do all this. Pretty neat, right? Pretty neat. That covers improved, removed, and animals. Everything is going to be in timestamps below, so you can just kind of filter through the entire video as you feel like if you want to hear about specific stuff. Because now we're going to talk about a little bit about reworks and item crafting. So there's only one thing that's really been reworked, and well, 2 things. There's been some text generation stuff that is more sensible and interesting results. So a little bit of text has been removed and fixed here and there. It's not really much. Then the advanced map options have been reworked, and that is pretty much just if you want to access the biggest map, the ludicrous size maps, you have to set them on in here. Enable test map sizes. So that's now a feature. So when you're settling a colony, you can't select ludicrous from the very beginning. Tynan deemed the game a little bit too much to handle, or it will break down if you build big bases at ludicrous maps. So you now have to enable that if you want to play that. Items and crafting. See, this is some interesting stuff that really matters with how you're going to play the game. Item deterioration rate now takes into account several factors, including being outdoors, being unroofed, and being in water. So if you hunt something out here, or anything, some people die that's in a trade group or something like that, you better go get the stuff fast, because things deteriorate so much faster than they used to. So you gotta hold those things if you really want them. Rebalanced and refractured quality generation. Masterwork and legendary level items never generate on enemies, traders, or bases. Masterwork and legendary items are extra hard to craft. Generally, you can only get them by inspiration or from quests. And that is exactly what the patch note says, and that is exactly correct. You can no longer craft masterwork or legendary items, only if you have inspired craft. And it's just called inspired craft now, and that covers all 4 here: smithing, tailoring, art, and craft. Or you can go do a mission, and you can maybe get the legendary things there. But that's the only way to get them, so they're way harder to get, which fits well with the new armor system, because you can technically, if you've got good enough armor, deflect everything and become, I don't know, Terminator, whatever you feel like. Most crafting benches are now uninstallable and reinstallable. They are, and that's really nice when your base is burning and you want to save things, especially when you're doing this challenge here, where we can't pause. Yeah, so it's good for saving things when your base is burning, or just to move them around. It's pretty neat. It's now possible to craft knives as a crafting spot. It indeed is. It indeed is. You can make knives, since shifts are no longer a thing. Short bows also took 3 crafting. Now it just takes 2 levels in crafting, which is pretty nice. So that's good. It's easier in the beginning then. And there has been added a minimum crafting skill to various weapons and appeal crafting recipes. And they have. A lot of things, more things in Usable, have gotten some upgrades or updates with what they need. crafting, construction skills. Also, the watermill has gotten a little bit nerfed in a way. It used to cost 20 steel and 1 component, and this is something I said in the new feature video, so this has been changed just now. And this has been made a little bit more expensive, and instead of 1400 power, it generates 1200, which makes sense. It's less OP now. It also requires more space, so it's a little bit harder to fit in somewhere. But it's still just as good. No humans now spawn with charge rifles. And charge lances are something that doesn't drop, but you can craft them. So raiders or anything that's joining you will not have charge rifles, and you can actually create charge lances. Yeah, the mechs don't drop any weapons or anything, but you can make those lances. And of course you do need the relevant tech for that. I'll be honest and say I'm not sure which one of these it actually is. I have dev tested while having every single tech, so I don't know. But I'll assume it's under machining, and then either something of this up here or just machining, and maybe that's enough. Yeah, I'd assume so. Or up here. That seems maybe advanced fabrication. I don't know. Somewhere up there. Check it out. You'll find it eventually. Don't worry. So for the fifth thing, we've got insects. Insects have been reworked a little bit as well and adjusted. Insects will no longer attack the colony when harmed by raiders. This means that if you are in a map with caves, and of course, unavoidably, at some point, the raiders are gonna randomly attack the insects because they're in the way. So after the insects wipe out the raiders, they will no longer attack the colony. They have to be provoked by you to attack, which is huge. We have all probably tried that with this one guy raid in the beginning of a game, triggers a hive, and, well, rip. So yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Insects will now also go into hypothermic slowdown instead of getting hypothermia. So they're not as prone to the weather anymore. They can survive and adapt. And then ores mined by non-colonists, like insects, are now forbidden from the start. So when insects are digging away walls and stuff and materials somewhere in cave maps mostly, your colonist no longer just rushes up there to haul this stuff. It's now automatically forbidden, so you will not go up and huck the insects. Which is probably for the best. Now we already went over animals, so there's two things left. There's colonists, there's a little bit to talk about those, and then there's a lot of just miscellaneous adjustments that I've been trying to put everything into baskets that fits them, like research and crafting and all that, but there's still a lot of stuff that's just, it doesn't fit in anywhere, but it's just a lot of general adjustments, and I'll go over those as the last thing in the video. But second last here we got colonists. Colonists now behave differently, in more than one way. Downed colonists in hostile maps are now automatically kidnapped by the enemy if there's no more healthy colonists nearby. Which means if you lose a fight while you're attacking somebody and you got 3 down people, you move out of the map. Those 3 down people, or everyone who is down when you leave the map, is going to be immediately kidnapped or captured. And then you might be lucky enough to get that message where you can call them, ransom them out, or maybe even get a mission to go free them or whatever. But that happens, so be careful about that. You can't just go back again. If you leave and only have down people on the map, the event for fighting will end. So be careful about that. No more random deaths from meteorites falling on colonists. See, that can't happen anymore. The chance for that happening is really, really low, and it hasn't happened that often. Like, I even have a mod, or had, for our Rimworld tournaments, where upon activation it would shoot 1 meteorite at the map every second, and that could amp up to 8 meteorites per second, until the map was full of meteorites, and then the last viewer standing won something. So that doesn't work anymore. Unfortunately, but good for us normal Rimworlders, we cannot get hit by meteorites, so that's nice. Or we shouldn't. Shouldn't happen. Inspired colonists now get a special icon in the colonist hotbar. If you haven't noticed that yet in your games, you will get a little like light bulb next to your character if they have an inspiration going. And then you can actually put your mouse up there and it will highlight what it does, what it means, and everything about that, which is really huge and really nice. Also there's nothing, oh, there's something here. Now, if you've been hurt in combat or something, you will actually have better text. Then you will have a text showing like witchy shots Misty with this after that or something. It will have way more detailed stats really explaining how you took damage, which is nice in combat or after combat when you're trying to figure out which one of your colonists you have to give a peg leg for misbehaving. Wearing new appeal now takes time. Colonists now take off the clothing or colliding appeal first, which takes time before wearing the new one, which makes sense. You got a t-shirt on, you wear a new one, you take the old one off first, and then put the new one on. So time has been added for that, which I get that. Colonists can now wear armor vest with tribal wear. This is actually something that is pretty nice, everything considered with the new type of armor, because tribal wear isn't the most armor heavy thing, it really isn't. But if you make this out of Thrumbo fur, or out of Mega Sloth, or something like that, something hard leather. This is, you can see on the right, this is cloth multiplier, 20%. So, if you're using something better, I think you can get up to 120% on that. Then you could get, instead of 4% sharpness, you could get maybe at least 10, right? So, pretty much late game, being able to have the tribal wear on as well, gives you a 10 armor buff, like all around. That's huge in combat. In the new combat system, that's very, very huge. And that might be something I'll be repeating here a little bit, because we are going to go over the last adjustments, all the miscellaneous ones. And I'll just be reading these up. If they matter to your gameplay, I'll be talking a little bit about them. But else, this is something that you sometimes will be seeing in the game automatically, and something you might not have noticed. Joy is now renamed to Recreation. That's not new for us, but that happened. It's not Joy anymore, it's Recreation. And you need more types. Your colonists can get bored of just playing with the joystick. So if they get too bored with that, you need multiple types of relaxation. And a joystick, a horseshoe pin, chess table, and just a table with a chair is good enough to cover all their needs. When placing or selecting workstations where pawn sits, while working, the spots where the pawns goes indicated by the chair is outlined by the player. Yeah, that's just that little icon there. Blunt weapons now have a chance to stun the target. That's true. Blunt weapons can stun now, and I still have to figure out the exact stun chance. The bulkiness here just means how fast the weapon is, how difficult it is to wield. The lower that is, the better, the faster the weapon is. So far I've seen pretty much around, I want to say 20% stun chance. But Rimworlds has its own RNG, so it's hard to really tell from just looking. I need to do some more testing on that one. So deep water has also been moved to chest deep moving water. We know that as well. We've seen that. Oh no. Let's not do that right now. Oh god. Oh no. Ah. Well, spot the buck. I'm no true Englishman, but Tiny is with one N, right? He's just faking it. Yeah, he's fine. So, water has been changed. So, you can always move over any type of moving water, whether it's shallow or deep. All moving water you can move about, and you can build bridges over them. You cannot do that on ocean tiles if you're close to the ocean. If it's still water, you cannot move over deep water, unless you build a bridge. I'm not even sure you can build a bridge on still deep water. You might not be able to. Turrets now require barrel change. This just means that after a certain amount of shots, turrets will need to get repaired, and that costs steel. So, just to keep turrets a little bit costly, but while being efficient, so sort of a balance. Doctors can now draw medicine from the same stack at the same time. This might seem like a small thing, but that's huge. Huge. Because if you got one pile of medics or meds, and you have like 3 people ready to get treated, and you have 3 doctors, only one of the doctors would grab something from the pile, while the 2 others would tend to the injured without any meds. So now that they can take it from the same pile, that's huge. It will really optimize doctoring a lot. Death Letter now contains information about last relevant events. That's pretty cool. So does gravestones. They actually show that. Time of death and stuff like that. All in all, just more general like info about everything you're doing. Like, let's see. Maybe I can find something to shoot at here. Please get hit. Get hit. There we go. So now I should be able to see under health. This. Here we go. So in the bottom you can see cause. Misty's auto pistol bullet hit the raccoon. Sometimes this can be, you can see if this was actually a strafe shot from trying to hit someone else, or if it was a critical shot, or what it was. So that is highlighted here, which is really neat. Hydroponics, this is really random stuff, guys. It's just all the new things, the small things, that doesn't really fit into a basket of a, well, subject. Hydroponics now default grow rice instead of potatoes. That's nice enough. Kind and psychopath traits will no longer appear together. That makes sense. Plant cut and harvest time now depends on the plant's growth. Which makes sense as well. Mechanoids now always die undowned. That's pretty neat, so you don't have to deconstruct them that much or turn them off all the time. Nutrient paste dispensers are now orange when they can be used by prisoners. So when you put them in the prison, the paste dispensers, they just change color, just to indicate they're for them. That's nice. Doing passionate work now affects mood instead of recreation. That's something huge, you might have noticed. Normally, if you set your work tab up for just letting them work with what they like, joy or recreation would never really go too far down. But that doesn't work like that anymore. When someone is working with what they like, they get an immediate green buff, but only at the exact time they're doing what they like. As soon as they stop chopping wood, if that's what they like, they will lose the buff. So that's a little bit harder. So you have to get recreation up by relaxation. And in my earlier playthroughs, I've always done this with the work tab, just 2 hours of joy or recreation a day. And that used to be way more than enough. Overkill, actually. More. Now, I almost feel the need to get a 3rd hour there in the middle, because yeah, they really need that recreation. It's a huge difference to their mood, and it's harder to get up there. So deep drills now yield stone chunks when no resources are below. That's pretty huge. You now have an infinite amount of stone chunks available on the map without using any quarry mods or anything. This I'm personally looking very much forward to. It is slower, but the fact that you can just always use deep drills to get stone from the underground is huge. It's a huge change, especially for mega colonists. So 5 home poppers will now pop whenever there's a fire in a 3-cell radius, so that has been changed a little bit. Food poisoning now has 3 stages. It moves through over the course of a day. Yep, and that is just major. It is just initial, it's major, and it's recovering. And approximately 12 or 8 of those hours you'll be unable to move during food poisoning, so be careful of that. Adjusted doctors and patients' work priorities a bit, so they do urgent work first. Important world objects are now easy to see when the camera is zoomed out. Yeah, they are indeed more highlighted. They are. Tribal factions can now do Zapper raids. They can, and that's hugely, really annoying. I don't know if it was Tynan's plan to have it so that the Zapper raids never retreat again from combat. But it's really tough. When you're used to having a raid being of 10 people, which means if you down 5, they flee. It always works like that. If you down half the raid, the rest of them flee. But with new Zapper raids and sieges, I think they don't flee either. it's really tough, because you have to fight all of them to the death. So that's kind of rough. Frag grenades are no longer a valid hunting weapon. I kind of get that. And else we don't have anything that's too important anymore. We do have the transhumanist, which was Prostophile. You don't need a bionic leg to get the mood buff from being happy from having something interesting. You just need a peg leg, or prosthetic leg at least, and then you'll get the buff from being not in a feeble human body. So that's pretty nice. Hives will no longer spawn close to enemy bases. That's pretty nice. When a health condition in the health tab is clicked, we can now see appropriate combat log entry. That's the thing we just saw with the raccoon. Nice enough. It's no longer possible to build roof over trees. That makes sense, that's why this hasn't gotten built. I told them to build this, so they will tend to it. They will automatically cut them down, but and you can't build roof around them, but you can't build roof right on top of them. Alpha Beaver's incident now only occurs in biomes with sparse plants. So I'm pretty sure Alpha Beavers have been exclusively put in the arid shrubland and desert kind of areas. Which means they'll have an even bigger impact, because they'll be eating all your wood. All of it. Bedrolls now have a quality rating. Which is kind of interesting, but makes sense. I do get that. You can also have double bedrolls now. I don't have the tech right here, but just like double sleeping spot, double bed, you can also have double bedroll. If you want to cuddle together, of course. Then all the ribs have been combined into a ribcage setting instead. So instead of having like 2 different broken ribs, it's just a ribcage all in all. So easier to keep track of. Minerals and ancient dangers will no longer appear on encounter maps. Interesting. That used to be a good buff. After finishing an encounter, you could just get all the mined materials, if there were components or something in the mountain, or gold, you could mine that and then leave, but that's no longer a thing. Vest plates now called flak vest. Yeah, you can also get flak pants now. It's actually good armor. I think it's supposed to be some type of medieval-ish level of armor and protection. Tynan has tried to draw out the early mid-game, so early to late game will have a more fluent transition in raid intensity and also difficulty. And that really has a lot to do with armor as well. So enjoy that. I for once have done that, even though our colonies have died a lot. Improved turret is now called mini turret. And minor starvation below 25% severity no longer causes miscarriages for animals. So that's pretty nice. And guys, that pretty much covers everything I want to go over with adjustments. I have left out a very few things, and the last things here were kind of random, but I couldn't put them in a box really. But all in all, think it through. Think about what it means for your playthrough, because it matters a lot with how you play certain things. Especially how you want to craft stuff and your progress throughout everything, how you're used to doing something. And remember, improved Sapper AI somewhat. That is what the patch note says. AI has generally just been improved in ways, so be ready. The AI is certainly interesting now. But a lot of things have changed, and the most things that changed that actually has an impact for your mid-late game colonists is caravan and trading. And a lot of things has been changed about that with the new allied system, diplomacy system, and I'll be going over that in another video with caravan and trading. For me, it's it guys. If you like to stay here, then click any of the buttons around here, or click the link to my Twitch if you want to ask me some questions while I'm live. I'm live every single day except for Thursdays at 13 Central European Time. For me, this is it. See you next time. Enjoy the video. And next we will have caravanning and trading. Take care guys, enjoy Rimworlds.